Daniel, you should have...
Are you okay? I am fine. I'm sorry, studio. This week on the Andrew Yang podcast. And so if you come in and you're like a real candidate with a real message, I mean, Brian Bangs is an interesting one because he's running for Senate as an independent in South Dakota, and it's just him now versus the Republican. And actually now like the Democratic nominee in South Dakota because he dropped out because he was like, oh, snap, I can't compete. Hey, that guy can, like, let me get out. So it's not an exaggeration to say that like independents in these states are just like a lot stronger than the Dems would be. Happy summer 2026. It is me and Zach and me. Zach just got back from Tokyo, Japan. Is there any other Tokyo?
The one and only.
Congratulations, man. I love me some Japan.
I will say you should go. Definitely go. Go soon because the yen is down.
Did it feel like everything was on sale?
Everything's on sale. Yeah.
It felt the same way for me when I visited
yeah,
like
it's great.
A year and a half ago or so. And like you felt like the entire country was for sale in the sense you could get delicious ramen or sushi or fruit or whatever you wanted. And it was awesome and delightful.
It was like the best sushi you ever had for like $10.
The place,
and a lot of it.
The place feels very, very safe, very clean, very polite. So I'm so glad you had a chance to go. This is your first time, right?
First time. It was great, man.
It wasn't your first time in Asia.
I've been to Indonesia. Went to Bali a while back, but it's my first time. My second time in Asia.
The second time in Asia, so it's just Indonesia and Tokyo.
That's it. That's my Asian experience.
Wow, that's dope. Yeah. I mean, you know what's funny is that's more like my Europe experience because since I was young, I've been going to Asia. Because look at this face. No, but I studied abroad in Hong Kong in the 90s before the changeover, so I had that experience. I had family there.
Oh wow.
My cousins, whom you actually met during the campaign, and then every chance I get, anytime I had a holiday, I went and visited my extended family and now my parents in Taiwan.
Yeah.
But my joke is I've been to Iowa 25 times and Italy 0 times. So it's probably the reverse for you, right? You've probably been to Europe. Not
25 times. I studied abroad in Florence, which was fun.
What?
Yeah. So I did like 4 or 5 months there. Yeah. It was fun. Europe's great. I mean, I was broke then, so I want to go back. I mean, I've been back to London. I've been back to Italy. Been back to parts of Europe, but Italy's beautiful place. But we were so broke, so it's like a different experience being broke.
Young and broke and traveling is
it's very
part
fun.
of the fun.
Yeah, that was very fun. But I'd like to go back and maybe stay at a nicer hotel or something.
Because you can hostel it and social it and find other broke expats and then get into a bit of trouble.
Fellow travelers. That's great. But yeah, Japan, highly recommend. 10 out of 10 food-wise, for sure. It's great, man.
And he actually went to Kyoto, which I've never been to.
Yeah,
and other places I really wanted to go. Did you go to the Imperial Gardens? That's a dream of mine.
I didn't do the gardens. We did. I can't remember the name of it, but the one with like the 10,000 bright orange gates that you walk under.
It's fun.
That was cool. Bit of a hike. Very cool. Temples are cool. Food's great. Saw Mount Fuji. Also cool.
Wow,
great, man.
That is dope. So congrats on that. He even brought back some sake flavored Kit Kat.
Brought some Kit Kats back. So in Japan, 7-Eleven
is the best.
Is like
oh my God, my kids when they saw 7-Eleven there, they just like wanted to go every day.
I don't know how to explain it, and I did too. It's like
so
they
delicious.
Have real food there. It's delicious. Like they have
so
an egg
good.
salad sandwich it's gone viral a few times. Delicious. Their competitor there is called Lawson's, also delicious. But they had this. Imagine like 2 pancakes put together, like little mini pancakes, and then in the middle is like butter and syrup.
Yeah, and it's delicious.
Delicious. Then they have the Kit Kats. They have like a million different flavored Kit Kats, which I think we're getting more of, but not the same. They have like sake flavored Kit Kats and sugar and banana flavored Kit Kats. I brought back a bunch. The sake ones were not a hit. Those are a little funky.
Still, we appreciated the thought at Noble HQ. So I didn't go as far as Tokyo. I mean, I spent some time in LA promoting my reality TV show, not mine really, I was on it. Nation's Dumbest, and I'm now publicly off the show, so I can talk at least about my journey, my arc.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
For those who didn't watch, do you want to summarize it, or what do you want to do?
I mean, how to summarize? Just like, I managed to demonstrate that I am less dumb than some others. The show is still ongoing. I'm a text buddy with the cast members. And you had no idea. I mean, I kind of roughly described what the hell was going on during my taping. But then the thing I'm not sure people realize is how stress-inducing reality TV is. And so when you see the fatigue on some people's faces, if they lose the competition, they're back for another day away from their family in another city, like blah, blah, blah. So I will say, people probably realize this about me, I did not expect to be there very long, because I even said that publicly on the show. I was like, I'm not here to be here for a while. So I managed to free myself and had a blast watching it with my family. Really glad I did the show.
Yeah. It was funny because I knew what you had told me, right? And what you'd talked about the podcast, but I didn't know how it works. And I know in reality TV, they have writers, right? So they have people that take interviews from all the contestants or all the people on it, and then they cut them up and they create narratives. And the narrative on Andrew was something somewhat self-inflicted, but somewhat they wanted to do. Like, you didn't want to be here very long. And I get it. Like, you're double Ivy League educated with a high IQ, and you got Kamala lecturer on there, who I don't think graduated high school and is not known for her wits, known for other things. And so you're probably not gonna there's a few people on there like you'll be running circles around, at least from the intellectual stuff. But they started throwing. They wanted you to stay for. There was a good bit for them and narrative for them to keep you on a little longer. I think like they were throwing you. Like they would be like they'd ask questions and one person would be like, "What colors do red and blue make?" And you'd get like a funky definition of a burpee and have to, you know what I'm saying? Like they were throwing you some curveballs. But it was good TV. I actually enjoyed it.
Yeah, there's a little bit of adversity baked in, but it's a great journey and experience. And I'm glad I said yes. I did get genuine, passionate advice not to go on the show.
Did people text you during the show? Like, what are you doing on here? Like, this is not serious?
I got some of those texts, yes.
Were they mad or were they just laughing?
You know what's interesting? And I feel really bad. I'm sorry, Yang Gang, on this. I got multiple people say they were really angry that they saw I was on the show because they felt like someone was somehow insulting me, not realizing that I voluntarily
they
said
tricked
yes.
you or something.
Yeah. So there was there was. So I apologize to anyone who felt that way because I did say yes, but someone was like, "Oh, you're not dumb. Like, what are you doing on the show?" They were like mad on my behalf, and so I was like, I feel bad for that. I got texts being like, "Hey, what are you doing on the show?" And then I got a text that I really appreciated from someone who said, "I have watched your episodes, and I'm happy to report that you." Have not destroyed your own reputation and have not hurt any of the movements that you're associated with, and that and that if anything you might even have helped and enhanced them. So congratulations! So I got messages like that.
So I get a lot of this because ever since I ran your presidential campaign, people will text me sometimes instead of texting you, or they will. There's this sort of thing where it's like
I actually feel really bad.
A lot
for
of that, and then there's a lot of what are you letting Andrew do, or why aren't you controlling the legacy in this? And my response to anybody who's said that to me or thought that is like, one, you're your own man. One, ignoring whether I was supportive of this, whatever, I thought it was fun. You're your own man, do your thing. But the other thing, which I thought was funny, is like, I think there's some sort of high mightiness of politicians where they're like, no, this is a serious profession, and like we're the elected leaders, we need to, part of that's true, but also I think people don't need to take themselves too seriously. Like if you have presidential or political ambitions, this shouldn't stop any of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, shit, you have a 2-time president who's clearly a reality TV
For
star.
Sure.
And, it's hard to cover yourself in dignity and seriousness when things have gone off the rails to this degree. You know what I mean? It's like being able to look up. And this has happened now twice for me. Once in total earnestness, where there was a teenager who just ran up to me and was like, excuse me, are you on Nation's Dumb? I still have no idea who I am. No idea what my name is even. And I was like, yes, I am. She's like, can I get a picture with you? Like, my friends and I watched the show. We love it. And then took the picture and was so happy and then ran off. Still no idea. Then another person also was like, oh, saw you on the show. And by the way, I actually get the numbers. Millions of people are watching.
Hey, you know who watches broadcast TV? You know who watches broadcast? Voters.
Yeah, like ordinary humans.
Yeah. But the show was, I remember talking to like when they were recruiting you, et cetera, like it's meant to be a lighthearted show. And if you watch it on there, like, they're going to rib you a little bit, but it's fun, There were times where you get humbled and you're like, oh yeah, I didn't know how to do that. XYZ. Or I think there was one where it was like, is Mount Rushmore in South Dakota or North Dakota? Like, bro, I'm glad you got Dakotas. I would have been somewhere around there. But you had some, like some of them were like relatively difficult trivia or sort of out of the box trivia, but it was generally fun. I'm glad you did it.
If you haven't watched the show and you were scared to watch the show, it's really good family entertainment.
Yeah,
like my kids, my wife have really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
I kind of miss me being on it. Like we watched episodes after I'm gone, and
well, you were certainly a comedic figure on there.
People asked me, and to your point about the writers, people asked me whether they wrote all of the things that I said. And I was like, they did not. It doesn't work like that. I mean, if there was one person whose lines they wrote, it was Jack Whitehall's The Hosts.
Yeah,
he had an earpiece in, so sometimes they would pipe in things for him to say. But the rest of us are just out in the wild. And I was entertaining enough where some people were like, did they tell you to...
Did they give you prompts?
Yeah.
I didn't know what to think. I don't watch these shows normally, but I genuinely sort of enjoyed it. It's a little hokey, but it's fun.
Thank you, listeners. Please make sure to like and subscribe. And if you have any questions, send them to mailbag@andrewyang.com, and we'll do our best to answer them. Thank you. It's certainly one of the defining things of the summer. Other things that are defining the summer is this lefty populist wave that people are talking about, particularly Abdul El-Sayed in Michigan and Francesca Hong in Wisconsin.
A lot of questions about this, about the rise of socialism, DSA.
Yeah, totes.
Would love your thoughts.
So let me say on the Michigan race, I'm actually friendly with both Abdul El-Sayed and Haley Stevens. And so I was like, immediately, I'm just going to stay the heck out of this one. And I don't make it a habit to butt into races that I'm not, I don't really have an involvement in places that, like I'm not that close to. There are some candidates that I'm actively boosting right now. And, people who keep up with me know there are 3 U.S. Senate candidates who are running as independents, who now 2 of them are just one-on-one with a Republican.
Because the Dem dropped out.
There's the Dem dropped out. I mean, talk about magic. And these 3 states, Idaho, South Dakota, and Montana, Dakota again, so sparsely populated and so inexpensive. One of my jokes is that you're not going to believe it, but each of these states still has 2 senators.
Yeah.
It's like, that's the math. So would you rather go into an expensive populous state that's going to cost tens of millions of dollars, or would you rather go into a state where the Republican has raised $1.4 million, which is the
raising
case.
$10,000 in a race like that is substantial.
Yeah, like our guy in Idaho, Todd Achilles, which is his real name. It's so dope. His name is Todd Achilles in the Year of the Odyssey. Just broke $1 million. He's one-on-one with an 83-year-old unpopular Republican incumbent who's been there for 18 years.
83.
And has not, right now he's 83, and has not had a town hall in 18 years. No one even knows if the guy's alive. And, and he has been running unopposed in Ruby Red, Idaho forever, because a Democrat running is a waste of time. And then the Democrat, to his credit, dropped out. So those 3 candidates, I'm like, obviously, you don't want to spread yourself too thin. So Todd Achilles, Brian Bangs, and Seth Bodnar are my guys to try and create like a genuine fulcrum or alternative in the Senate. Could be transformative. So in the Michigan race, it was fascinating because, first, let me say, Abdul al-Sayed, like Zohran Mamdani, is a very, very talented figure, messenger, etc. He's a Rhodes Scholar.
He's a doctor too, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's an MD.
Medical doctor.
Also has a degree in public health. And really, really fast on his feet. It has a genuine point of view.
Yeah.
And then there's an anti-incumbency wave right now, in part because of really terrible economic indicators. So 63% of Americans say they're living paycheck to paycheck. 80% rate the economy poorly. Credit card delinquencies are up to 13%, which is a multi-year high. So you look at it like by the way, too, like even here in New York, you go to any restaurant, cafe, grocery store. Have you gotten sticker shock lately?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like you go in and you're like, oh my gosh.
Yep.
So that's happening to Americans across the board, and people are really pissed off.
Yeah, my Dunkin' Donuts coffee has gone up. That's the one I check every day. I see the price. I'm like, well, that's not what it used to be. $4.20. Now it's $4.80.
Yeah, I mean, Chipotle burritos are one of the more famous ones. But like, I looked at a sandwich the other day and it was like $12.50, and I was like, that sandwich. It's a little more than I remember. It was a chicken parm.
Yeah,
so everyone's pissed off, and Abdul al-Sayed reads as more pissed off than Haley Stevens, who's like a very, very sensible, productive legislator who now. By the way, is taking defeat like a champ, where she's turned around the next day.
She supported him,
and is like,
which I thought was classy.
Let's go. Yeah, she's like classy and like a true public servant type spirit.
Did she have to give up her seat in Congress to run, or can you do both? I don't know the mechanics.
I would have to dig in. Okay. I think that she's able to keep her seat because I did not see her stepping down.
Hopefully, it's somewhat easier to be a good patriot there. Like, I'll stick here and help you win, or whatever it is, but.
Yeah, and that's going to be a very, very important Senate seat because they're all important, but Michigan's a genuine swing seat, and it's going to be fascinating in November.
It is crazy seeing like the entire Democratic establishment sort of endorse Haley and, through their weight behind her.
Outgoing senator, outgoing governor.
The senator leaving Whitmer, endorsed her, like Pointer or whatever.
Every single establishment type. And then Abdul had Bernie, AOC, Elizabeth Warren, the progressive camp, most of whom, by the way, stayed out of the Francesca Hong, Wisconsin gubernatorial primary, which was a fascinating thing to see. And a lot of it was just candidate quality, but like Abdul al-Sayed, Rhodes Scholar, Francesca Hong, very, very different background, and
more controversial. She said some takes.
Yeah, no. I mean, like the cancel Thanksgiving stuff, like the, the media tour that could have been a cleanup activity, but instead sort of furthered some messy narratives. And so, they said, you know what, we're not going to support her. And interestingly, Francesca Hong, like Abdul al-Sayed, and this needs to be said. So Abdul al-Sayed, going into the primary, seemed like he was up by maybe 10 points.
Yeah.
Francesca Hong also up by 10 points.
Yeah.
Abdul al-Sayed ends up winning by 3 or so. So it tightened a lot.
Yeah.
There were a lot of folks who came out and voted for Haley Stevens. And then Francesca Hong goes from up 10 to just losing outright.
Yeah.
And so that there's something revealing in their relative underperformance compared to the polls.
I'm also curious, with Abdul winning, the odds of the Republican winning went up. And when Francesca lost, the odds of the Republican winning went down. Now, these are odds, right? The polls haven't really come out yet, but there's some sort of narrative where the Republicans think they can beat the progressive, and because it is an easy playbook for them. They get to brand him a socialist, play anything he said that, and Abdul has had some stuff that is probably, like, let's call it, at least, to put it nicely, not mainstream views, that they'll play on ads, right, for sure. But the Democrats have a more mainstream candidate in Wisconsin running, and they won't be able to do the same playbook. I'm curious your thoughts on how this shapes up in the general, and I guess what it means broadly speaking for the Democratic Party.
So that's conventional wisdom, but I'll look at these specific contests.
Yeah.
I think Francesca Hong was going to lose a general for governor of Wisconsin, and the person that beat her probably wins. So the Crowley, who's like a normie mainstream
Democrat.
Dem. So big picture, this is going to be a very, very Dem cycle. Everyone's pissed at this administration on the economy and affordability. Said he would lower prices, isn't lowering prices. Instead, he's minting on crypto and like charging for access to Truth Social and like a bunch of garbage. And Trump's personal fortune, his family fortune, just like going up and up and up, while your grocery bill is also going up and up and up. So everyone's pissed off. So if you look at a swing state like Wisconsin and Michigan, everything being equal, the Dem wins. So Francesca Hong would have massive vulnerabilities in the general, because you could play some of her sound bites to the cows come home, and she's just not like a strong candidate.
Yep.
And so the Dems dodged a bullet by her losing.
Yep.
Abdul Sayed versus Haley Stevens versus Rogers, the Republican. I mean, that's an interesting one, because Haley Stevens certainly reads as more moderate and up the middle, and the rest of it harder to demonize and caricature.
Yep.
On the other hand, Abdul Sayed does have more, like a hardcore following in Michigan. I think that Abdul Sayed has a tougher hill to climb than Haley Stevens would, but it's such like a Dem cycle that you'd have to consider him like a slight favorite. I think if your entire reason for being was who is a better candidate in the general and who might cost you less money to put over the top, Haley Stevens was probably like a finer choice. But I would guess that it's going to be very, very competitive in November with Abdul Sayed. I think he's a real chance to win.
So the mainstream narrative on the Democratic Socialists is that it's sort of taking over the party, or there's this angry wave of populism in the left.
By the way, there were a couple of other things too, like Sri Thanadar, who is an incumbent member of Congress in Michigan, also lost his primary. And incumbents almost never lose those primaries. Right. It happened on the Republican side too. It's just everyone's pissed off. But continue.
No, I mean for sure. But I'm curious. Some have equated it to like what the Republicans had going with the Tea Party years ago, which eventually you could argue led to Trump in some sense, at least a very angry wing of your party of eventually all coalescing around one candidate. But in this case, it might also just be sort of candidate driven, well, you got a compelling person hitting the right talking points, they're going to win. I'm curious your thoughts on the rise of socialism in the party, or the DSA, and what that, the Dems going to be dealing with this for a while. My assumption is yes.
Sure.
I'm curious where you think this goes, and particularly when it comes down to the presidential race in a couple of years.
It's here to stay.
Yeah.
It's here to stay largely because of the economic situation and the underemployment of recent college graduates in particular.
No.
I mean, it's 42 or 50%, depending upon which stat you look at. So if you got a degree and you're working as a barista or in retail and you still have your school loans, and then someone says, hey, like, I'm here to shake it up. And you're like, heck yeah, like that, let's go. And you can see that in the voting numbers, where if you have like older voters, they skew away from this particular message, but like young and educated, ding, ding, ding. Like the highest, I think, is literally you have a PhD and you're making less than a certain amount of money, then it's like, that this is totally my jam. And so it's here to stay in the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party has a problem here, which is it needs military veterans and moderates, or people that read as such, to contend in a lot of swing districts. And then in certain really blue zones, most notably New York City, you can run as like a super lefty and actually win the primary, because all you really need is to get an extra 15, 20, 25,000 people to show up to your primary and you win. And then the Republicans are going to take those figures and say, look, this is the Democratic Party, even though it's still a relatively low proportion of Democratic members of Congress. It's just that they're really, really visible because both sides in the media and social media all will amplify their visibility.
Yeah.
But it's going to go on, and it's definitely going to play out in the 2028 Dem primary, where there's going to be someone who represents that camp running, and everyone thinks it's going to be AOC. It very well could be AOC, By the way, just want to make a comment too. It's like I feel bad for the public announcement of AOC's engagement, just like you do anytime like a long-term relationship goes badly.
Yeah, it sucks.
It sucks.
It has nothing to do with her political views.
Yeah, it's like, it stinks. So the people who could run that banner in the Dem primary, AOC is the most obvious one, and Bernie's really trying to give AOC the standard.
Yep.
And then number 2 is Ro Khanna, who has been really trying very, very hard to become the new standard bearer over there. And that's been a fascinating journey. So I like Ro. I'm friendly with him. Some of the moves that he's been making, like, have rubbed some people the wrong way. That's going to be an interesting one, but I just want to throw Ro is number 2. And then there are a couple of others like on the periphery, like maybe Sean Fain, the head of the UAW, maybe someone else wants to take on the progressive mantle. And the progressive mantle will have like a certain amount of energy baked in to the Democratic primary electorate. One of the major questions is like, does that level of support break through to a majority? Now, there's a chance sans ranked choice voting, and the DNC just did something super dumb, which they decided not to use ranked choice voting for their primaries. It was on the table, and then they decided not to. So one of the dangers for the Dems is that you have, let's say, an AOC type who ends up being, the attractor. Whatever it is. Let's call it 25%, 30%, 28%. And then you have the moderate vote that's split among
10 different ways.
Yeah, like
and 3 big
6,
candidates
7,
and then a
8
bunch
different people, and then you wind up. So the odds of that happening, significant.
Yep.
This podcast is sponsored by Helix Sleep. I have been on the road lately and been waking up with a sore back, and it's because I don't have my freaking Helix Sleep mattress with me. My Ultra Dawn Firm mattress that was made for me via a personalized Helix Sleep quiz. And without it, I am lost. I am uncomfortable. I am weakened. It does genuinely suck. I actually really miss my mattress, which just goes to show how much of a difference a Helix Sleep mattress makes for you. And don't take my word for it. They have a 120-night sleep trial and limited lifetime warranty, free shipping and seamless delivery, top-rated mattress from Forbes and Wired and all these people that sleep on mattresses for a living. Go to helixsleep.com/yang for 20% off site-wide. That's helixsleep.com/yang for 20% off site-wide. Make sure you enter our show name after checkout so they know we sent you. helixsleep.com/yang.
I think outsider energy will be big this cycle as it is right now. I don't think it has to mean socialist or DSA situation. I think Liz Smith, was Pete Buttigieg's comms director and probably my favorite comms person in the Dem party, certainly one of them. She put out a Twitter thread. They won a race with an outsider, former mayor of Hartford, who won the congressional seat.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
And he's not a far lefty. He's just a new voice with a new vision and conviction. And the last thing I'll say, Andrew, I'm curious, I think you'd agree with this, but the Dems are complaining and the the Democratic establishment complaining about what they're having to navigate right now. But they made their own bed, man. Like this is what happens when you prop up Joe Biden instead of having a primary last time. You're just gonna break any trust you had left. In my opinion, is gone.
Yeah. The institutional trust of the Democratic Party is in the toilet because of the lack of the primary, and that there is something. Like the arc, if you were to take it over the years, you've had a deterioration of the American way of life over, someone asked me when it started and I said the 80s, because that's when productivity and wages started to diverge.
Sure.
And so now everyone's like, okay, I want to change things. And so the moderate Dems are just in a tough spot. Now, I believe that you need the moderate Dems to have any kind of governing coalition. And I line up with a lot of moderate Dems on a lot of temperamental, dispositional matters. But it's a mess. They're going to end up with this internal struggle to define the party, and there's a bit of a vacuum right now because what does the Democratic Party stand for? And if you're a moderate Dem, you're like, we stand for business as usual, then like that's a really hard case.
Do you think it would be right around now if you were running for president again? It'd be this would be the time where you were like starting to declare, right? You were like, you're probably...
Well, I think that because you haven't seen any of these Dems declare, and no one's going to make a move until.
No, but I meant you declared when you ran.
Oh, when I ran.
When you ran.
Totally.
Yeah, when you ran. This would be right around the time.
Yeah, that's true.
Do you think you would have had a warmer reception to running right now? I think you probably would have, because I think there's this appetite for any sort of new voice and energy. I think at the time when you were running, it was like, no, we have a great bench. We have a great party. We picked the wrong candidate. We picked the wrong... Clinton was not the choice to beat Trump. I'm curious if you think it'd be easier right now if you're the same situation. You're an anonymous man running for president.
What's interesting, Zach, is like I've seen now, because there are, you can name like 8, 9, 10 Democrats who are clearly running for president and clearly just like going to Michigan, doing the Atlantic profile, like doing this. So it's already on. And I think just the way our culture works, and certainly the way the media functions, is just no one will do anything with you in the presidential until the midterms pass.
Yeah, that's true.
And then, after the midterms pass, then you'll see everyone start to declare.
Yeah, unless you're the front runner and they'll write a couple stories on you, that like, is Newsom running? He's doing this. This is a presidential move, Well,
but, we all know who's running, and you see stories about each of them because they're like, beating the drum.
They're doing the thing. They're building the email list. They're talking to the donors. They're talking to the press. The one thing I'm not sure, AOC is doing press, but I haven't seen her do the donor and the field work yet. You know what I mean? Usually you'll see like Kamala's in Iowa. Just why are you in Iowa?
Well, by the way, that is actually the major variable. And I made news. I don't know if you saw this. But
you made news?
I made news when I said like, hey, I heard Kamala's running.
Oh yeah, I saw this. Yeah.
And so like that is like the major domino in the Democratic field, where I think, not shocking to anyone, like I think Kamala running again would be a terrible mistake. Like I ran alongside her in 2020 and she dropped out before the voting started for good reason. Only reason why she became a contender was because Joe Biden made her his running mate because of a pledge to Jim Clyburn that he would make his running mate a black woman.
Yeah.
And then, she obviously got like the anointment without a competitive process in 24. Right. So she's 0 for 2 in like in a way that's not like indicative of future success. Yeah. And so for her to run again would be a mistake, but I think there's a very, very substantial chance she does. So here's what I heard. I heard from someone very plugged in Democratic politics that Doug Emhoff, the former second gentleman, was calling people saying, hey, prepare for a Kamala run. And then I heard from someone in California politics that Kamala was making moves that indicate that she's running again. And so that's when I put out, then the other big piece of news that came out was that the Democrats were making South Carolina first with, drumroll please, Jim Clyburn there to tell everyone who to vote for. So now the path is very, very clear for Kamala to announce and get the first state, which gives her like a massive leg up over the field. She still has huge name ID, still has a giant list. Her incentives to run are actually stronger than her incentives not to run. Because if she doesn't run, then it's really a wrap, and she might as well just go get the university appointment. You know what I mean? So, yes. But with South Carolina first, so I put out a social media post saying like, hey, here Kamala's running again. That became a thing. And then I wrote a blog post being like, look, the Dems are poised to repeat their mistakes because they've given, and Jim Clyburn, by the way, I believe now he's 85.
And he controls what % of the primary voting in that state?
I mean, it's sky high. I mean, he got Joe Biden easily. Like, I mean, 2020, Joe Biden's not president if Clyburn doesn't make it happen. So that's one of the major variables in this Democratic field is, does Kamala decide to run again?
I'll tell you exactly how it's going to happen. She's going to announce. She's going to come out as a presumptive front runner. Its first poll come out. She'll be at 20%. She'll be ahead of Newsom by, maybe double digits, and then everybody else will be trickles, right? And then maybe you'll have a little bit of a bump, but it'll stay around there. It'll start to drop a little. And then all it'll take is just one moment where she says some word salad, and we'll all be reminded of exactly what we just did. And everybody will start paying attention to everybody else. Someone else have a moment, and she'll drop, and she'll drop, and she'll drop, and she'll drop. That's how I think this plays out. Now, so my hope would be we don't get to South Carolina, right? Because at a certain point, if you've gone from 22%, you're the something front runner, and you're now in mid-single digits, it gets embarrassing. You can't raise anymore, et cetera. So if she stays,
so you think she does declare at some point?
I would say if she declares, that's how it goes. But yeah, but to your point, like she's got more incentive to run than not run. She probably does run. They've been planting these seeds. She's getting everybody in her ears telling her to run.
Yeah, I mean, for the longest time, by the way, before I put out that social media post, I did not think she was going to run again.
Really?
I did not. I thought that she was playing patty cake with the idea to stay relevant, but I didn't think she was going to run again.
Maybe she didn't.
But then, I heard a couple things that pushed me the other direction. It was like, oh my gosh, she is going to run again.
You got people convincing her, for sure. You can make the argument she didn't have fair shake last time. Wasn't a real primary. Voters didn't get to know her. All that's nonsense. We got to know her in 2020.
She's been surrounded by a lot of love and support too, which would tend to make one think that because she's did a book tour that was like very, very like lucrative and well attended, and the rest of it. Oh yeah,
your mainstream Dems, they like Kamala. They don't have a problem with her. I don't think it has like a real. Some people do, but it's not like she's problematic. I feel like if I got a beer, Kamala Harris would be fun.
Yeah, it was just a fine like conversational companion.
Yeah, that's yeah.
I mean, my biggest beef is that she's underperformed twice, and so for the good of the party, you wouldn't make that thrice.
Dude.
Is what I would say.
Look, I hope they have a fair primary. That's what I would like. That'd be good for the party and the country.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating. We certainly know a lot of people, and we'll see what role we end up playing. I'm
going to get a call to run some campaign, and I'll say no.
Sure.
I mean, and that's not like because I'm great. That's because the bench is very low.
There's going to be a lot of them too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's 20 people running. There'll be only so many people with experience. Yeah.
It's the summer, which is supposed to mean we all get fit and healthy, but if it means what it means to me, you eat a lot of crap and junk, and it's actually not great for your waistline, which makes it a great time to switch to Factor. Factor makes chef-crafted, dietitian-designed, ready-to-eat meals that are sent to you. Even a klutz like me in the kitchen can get them done in 2 minutes. Salmon burgers, shredded pork, collard greens, plus desserts like pumpkin-flavored cheesecakes, protein shakes you'll actually like. Let's eat real. Head to factormeals.com/yang50off and use code yang50off to get 50% off and 1 free breakfast item per box for 1 year while supplies last until 10/31/2026. That's code yang50off at factorsmeal.com, yang50off at factormeals.com. See website for more details. And it's been fun building the alternative. It's been fun seeing candidates like Todd Achilles and Brian Banks and Seth Bodnar also, just by the way, like say, look, the Democratic brand is mud in these states, which it is.
Does Forward get more juice when stuff like that happens, when a Dem drops out or and Abdul wins a race? Is that more juice for Forward Party because people think we know more options? I'm curious how that goes. I think
we have a different vibe than like the Abdul Lefty
certainly. I meant like
wing. But there is like an anti-incumbency sense. There's like a real doubt in the Democratic establishment. And if you look at Seth Bodnar's fundraising, as an example, he raised literally maybe like 20 to 30 times more than the Democrat in that Senate race. Like the Democratic nominee had raised maybe $50,000, and he'd raised like 1.1 million. So it's like, it's kind of embarrassing in the sense of the Democratic Party in a place like Montana or South Dakota or Idaho is, like a pair of sticks or something. Like there's really not much there. And so if you come in and you're like a real candidate with a real message, I mean, Brian Bangs is an interesting one because he's running for Senate as an independent in South Dakota, and it's just him now versus the Republican.
Mm-hmm.
Bangs was the Democratic Senate candidate in 2022.
Oh, interesting.
And then he walked around. He'd been an independent his whole life. He signed up as a Democrat, run for Senate. And then he's like, wow, people hate Democrats here. Yeah. And then he was like, okay, I'm going to run again as an independent. And then the Dems were like, oh, you're a traitor. And then they ran this other guy who seemed fine. And actually now like the Democratic nominee in South Dakota because he dropped out. Because he was like, oh, snap, I can't compete. Hey, that guy can. Like, let me get out. So it's not an exaggeration to say that like independents in these states are just like a lot stronger than the Dems would be. And so we get juice from that for sure.
I always wonder if this is like how the corruption works in some sense. Like, let's say you're in Idaho where the Republican's going to win this race.
Yeah, and they don't even pretend.
Probably,
like, it's just like a joke.
Win this, right? So then no one's voting to the Dem because there are no Dems and they can't win. And the Republican, they're going to win. So why are you donating to this guy or gal?
Right. Yes.
You're donating for access.
That is kind of the point.
That's the thing. Like, why am I raising money? Because you want me to pick up your call. You want access. That's the gig.
By the way, it's one reason why it's such a golden opportunity for these independents in these states, because the Republican, everyone just assumes it's going to be cakewalk. They never run a competitive race. They don't have that much money because they had never had any real opposition.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the rationales for these contests is like, let's say someone like Todd Achilles or Brian Bangs ends up being a contender for real. What happened in Nebraska 2 years ago in 24 is that the Republican Party sent $10 million to submarine Dan Osborne because he was actually going to beat, I think her name was Deb Fisher.
Yeah.
And can you imagine Republicans having to be like, we have to stroke a $10 million check to Nebraska to fight off this freaking like random pipe fitter, which is what happened. That was like a real life thing. And Dan Osborne's running again in 26. So like the independent wave is growing every 2 years.
Yeah, and it helps the minority party, if you will, right? Which is a good thing. You get more competitive races.
Yeah. I mean, the Dem party their brand is deeply underwater in the majority of the country, and so like running a sacrificial lamb in these states is a waste of everyone's time.
Yeah, buckle up, man.
Yes, good time. So do check out those candidates. And thank you for hanging with me and Zach. We're now going to take a few of your questions.
I'll take some questions. We've talked this a bit. I'm going to paraphrase this question because it's from a lot of people. But with AI accelerating, is UBI enough? You know what I mean?
I think most people who are really deep into my stuff know that I've always seen UBI as a foundation or a floor, and then you have to build a new house.
Yeah.
And the way to build a new house, in my view, requires caring and nurturing economy, a health and wellness economy, and an arts and creativity economy, and people pursuing their own goals and human flourishing in different ways, and like essentially parallel structures around each of those. Now that gets kind of utopian seeming, but it's also necessary as AI is going to soak up more and more of the work. But everything I just described, for most people, they can't frankly visualize like what that is. So we're going to start with just like, look, just get
the floor.
Money, get the floor. And then people will be like, oh, let me invest this thing. But I think you need multiple currencies around different human pursuits.
And you could fund them with exponential growth and value created by AI, theoretically.
Yeah, one of the great frustrations I have right now is that people are like, oh, America's broke. It's like, well, we're broke because we've had a really, really corrupt and inept political class that has kicked the can down the road and made it so. But like, there is so much wealth in this country, so much wealth.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's like I'm adjacent to some of the wealth. Like I'm in I'm in rich people's homes and whatnot. And like the best of them are just, it's like you could take away a certain amount of money and it would have no impact on their lives. And they know that. There's like so much. I mean, shit, you have multiple $1 trillion companies coming online right now that were built on our data. there's just like, this is still the richest, most advanced society in the history of the world. And we're going to have a lot more top line wealth. It's just right now it's not going to be distributed at all in a way that's going to make people happy.
And that's the rub. Yeah. It's not the dollar amount. That's the other thing. We spend more on healthcare, education, veterans. We spend more than every other country per capita and gross most of the time. Results.
I mean, it's funny, man, because I used to talk about the size of the economy when I was running for president, and it was like, let's call it 24 trillion, like 25 trillion. Now it's 31 trillion. I mean, shit, things just keep on heading up. This podcast is sponsored by ExpressVPN. How did you choose which internet service provider to use? The sad thing is, most of us didn't have much of a choice because ISPs operate a lot like monopolies in the regions that they serve. They then use this monopoly position to take advantage of customers, and yes, they even sell your data, your activities to advertisers and big tech companies, and you don't see a dime. That's why I protect my internet surfing and devices with ExpressVPN. When you use ExpressVPN, it's like a magic portal to a perfectly safe and anonymous internet. So stop handing over your personal data to ISPs and other tech companies who then mine your activity and sell off your information. Protect yourself with a VPN I trust to keep my privacy online. Visit expressvpn.com/yang. That's EXPRESS vpn.com/yang to get 3 extra months free. Go to expressvpn.com/yang right now to learn more. Hey guys, Noble Mobile, growing all the time, has new family plans. Noblemobile.com/yang, the best deal around. You get 3 months for free and you can save like a real boatload of money. So if you are on the fence, do join. As you can tell, the company is growing all the time, so we must be doing something right. And if you go into the app, it's delightful. There are all of these screen time utilities and will pay you 5.5% on any of the savings you get on Noble Mobile. 5-star reviews because people really enjoy being a Noble user. I'm a Noble user, switched from Verizon, and it's been such source of joy. And also my wife Evelyn gets ticked off that my coverage is better than hers because she's paying so much more.
The coverage is great, and you can get it for free. You can get what we call our brain rot index. You can do that for free and get paid to use your phone less before you join. If you're not ready to switch, you can, if you keep your brain rot index under 100, which is basically like screen time, phone pickups, social media scrolling, and we'll give you $1 a day up to $100, and then you can unlock that $100 when you switch. It's pretty cool. And have we talked about this? We bought a company.
Oh, yeah. So I'm not sure we've talked about it on the pod, but Noble bought another wireless company called Helium.
Yeah.
And so we've been having fun joining forces, integrating there. It's a lot of work, but, it's awesome to have even more people in the fam. So it's great. Like now we have a couple different ways to connect people.
Yeah. And get people saving money on their wireless, which is good.
Yeah, so do check out noblemobile.com/yang for the best deal around. And we started the company in order to help people. And it's going great.
It's going great.
Look at that.
Actually going great.
Going great.
All right, let's ask a fun question. This is from Jonathan in Memphis. He says, "Hi, Andrew. I'm an 8th grade science and STEM teacher in Memphis." Thank you, Jonathan. "Beyond technical skills, what do you believe schools should prioritize so students develop the human traits AI can't replace? A deep sense of their own dignity and worth, the habit of pursuing excellence, and a real responsibility to something bigger than themselves? Curious your thoughts."
I love this so much. Congratulations for being an 8th grade science teacher. I think we all remember our 8th grade science teacher.
I do.
Yeah. And that's like a really formative subject and period. The best things to try and develop, and I've got actually, a son who's going into 9th grade, so I can speak.
Gosh, you're going to high school.
Yeah, I know. It's freaky.
Crazy.
So... I have written a little bit about this, and I'm going to write more on this. Thank you for educating our kids. I'm going to just go old school, where it's like, what made people successful previously? It was that they cared about something, they were resilient, they were conscientious, they were dedicated, they were somewhat sociable. Those things are all going to apply as AI comes online, even more so. And I'm going to say that they become more needed because a lot of our kids, unfortunately, don't have a lot of these qualities in the same way because of our rectangles of sadness and like the screen time and the rest of it. So as a parent, I have my kids learning stuff that I know AI is 100% going to automate, but it doesn't matter because the goal is for them to develop a work ethic and interests and like a sense that they can actually make progress towards a goal. So some of the things that I completely missed the boat on as a kid-ish that now I would push on, I think team sports are great, almost ideal.
Or team activities in general, but sports having you need the goal. So like
shared
musicals
goal.
Are good, but like chess club less good unless there's a version of competition or like end product, but better than nothing. Sorry, keep going.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Yeah,
team sports, drama.
Yeah.
Music collectively is probably a little bit better.
If you're performing, that's good. You're working towards
performing great.
Yeah.
I played piano, which was relatively solitary the way I did it. So when I was a nerdy kid, I thought to myself, like, oh, these other things are irrelevant. It's all about your studies. And now I know how stupid that is. If anything, I'm actually kind of a little more the opposite, where your studies are less relevant than your caring about something, your personality. So Zach here, for those of you guys who don't know, Zach was like the lead in his high school play. And that, I think comes through in some of Zach's, like energy, competence, passion, like belief, ability to command a room. And you could look at that as a child and be like, well, that kid's not going to be a fucking movie star or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
Like what a waste of time.
Oh,
as a matter of fact, schools, the first thing they chop is drama.
Yeah.
But then I'd actually flip it and say, you know what, like that stuff's going to stand the test of time.
Yeah. I had a meeting with our team the other day and I said, I started to see this trend and I said, new rule, guys, we don't ship slop. And what I mean, like I saw people just, if I'd ask them to do something, hey, can you give me a one pager on what we want to do for this event we're sponsoring or blah, blah. And it would, whoever it was, like they put it in AI and give it back to me. He's like, and I said, like, look, if AI is doing the job, I could have done that myself, like you're all here because we think you're talented and think you're critical thinkers and you think you're good with people and we think you bring something to the table. But if you're just letting AI do the job, that's a very fast way to get yourself, become obsolete, So I agree with you big time. And I think the future is analog. I think we're going to start seeing trends toward more old school stuff. I would venture to say newspapers come back.
In terms of education, for sure. I mean, as a parent, the longer you can keep the kids off of social media and screens, the better. The more analog you can be, the better. And this is as someone who has not done a great job with that.
Yeah, it's hard. But some of the best investors I know are investing in like in-person events and concerts and food festivals and things that are in real life.
Well, what the first thing that popped into my mind is very unfortunate, Zach.
What?
But like I thought to myself, ooh, like rich consumers are going to want that.
Yeah, my thought would be you could start seeing the wealthiest pay extra for the analog, right?
Yeah,
but my hope would be over time it trickles down where you start to use modern technology to deliver analog. The stupid analogy would be like a robot, an Amazon robot delivering you your Washington Post, which they own, but a print copy. Maybe, I don't know.
I mean, I love me a good.
I think this is, but it's. I mean, well, I know this. Like from a branding standpoint, advertising standpoint, companies are getting more value out of event sponsorships and experiential sponsorships than Facebook and Google ads and things like that.
Of which Noble Mobile will be at All Things Go.
They're going to be All Things Go. It's our first festival sponsorship.
Look at this. See how great we're doing? We're like sponsoring a music festival. You can come hang out with us.
We'll have a booth. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
Anyway, any closing thoughts for the pod today?
There's a little bit more time in summer. Try and get all you can out of it. Zach's going back to Tokyo. He's become a Japan. No, he's not. That'd be a lot.
I learned a couple phrases. Arigato gozaimasu. Which means thank you very, very much. Or something like thank you with honor. I don't know. You just say that everywhere.
Yes.
And arigato. That's hello. That's about it. That's all I learned. I learned some other phrases that I forgot, to be fair. I tried to absorb the culture. It was just, I end up, dude, I am American, man. I came back, first thing I did was order a cheeseburger. You know, couldn't really get those there.
Oh, good.
Hey,
good there.
Odyssey.
Yeah, I thought it was one of the greatest films of all time.
Hell yeah. It was awesome. It was awesome. Guys, go see the Odyssey. Don't believe in any of the Twitter. I mean, not that you have it.
I lost respect for a couple people based upon their takes on the Odyssey. It was weird.
Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, it's like, get over your like hang-ups.
What are you talking about?
Also, not elevated to that level, but I thought Spider-Man was very, very good.
It smoked it in the box office, and that's a statement because Odyssey did really, really well. But Spider-Man's
very, very good.
They're so movie. Global, and it's an action. It's a Marvel movie.
Translates very well. Plus, it wasn't 3 hours long.
Yeah, that's true. The Odyssey's a commitment, but you get in there like. My thought on Odyssey was like, I can't believe this is on camera right now.
It was the shortest 3-hour movie I've ever seen.
Yeah, I can't believe I'm watching this. Like,
in a good way.
Yeah, like Cyclops looked real. Like, what is going on? It was really cool. Christopher Nolan's as a classic white boy take. Christopher Nolan's my favorite director.
Yeah, it was an amazing it was an amazing achievement.
Yes,
as
it was.
I was like, oh, this is actually the best Western civilization can produce.
Yeah, it's up.
Because he had all the talent, he had enough money, and like
he had a limited budget, all the best actors. Yeah,
yeah, and what was remarkable is like it was a bargain at the $250 million he spent on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he got the cast at a discount. He did like a bunch of stuff practically.
Getting a lead in a Nolan movie helps your career massively. They all know it now. You know, they talk about like he had me in one movie, he didn't ask me back, and after like he asked me back for a while. I don't know if I did a good job.
Yeah, Travis Scott.
That's the thing. You see on Twitter like, oh, Travis Scott's in the movie. Travis Scott's awesome in the movie.
Travis Scott's awesome.
He's awesome in the movie.
It was dope.
They're all awesome. Elliot Page, awesome in the movie. Like, I'm not buying this. Like, I had a blast.
Thank you for helping recap the summer with me and Zach, but it's not over yet.
Not over yet. Love you guys.